Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon, and we're going to talk about one of my favorite game developers of all time, Capcom. Yeah, I'm a huge Capcom fan, and when I heard about this, the fact that Capcom might potentially, possibly, maybe, be passing memos around internally that they are going to get woke, using little air quotes here, get woke, and kind of follow the trend of Western game developers. My heart sank a little bit because Capcom has been one of the few publishers out there that has pretty much stood its ground. It's been mostly focused on Japanese audiences. I mean, I know with Monster Hunter and all of that, they've got more international appeal, but it does seem like they've always been kind of Japan first, and if other people want to buy our stuff, that's fine. It looks like they're going to go the way of Naughty Dog, though, if this is true. And I'm hoping to God it's not true, because again, I've been a huge Capcom fan ever since the NES days, ever since I spent my childhood playing Street Fighter, and we just put together a Marvel Superheroes Arcade 1-Up machine here, and love Mega Man, love Mega Man Legends. And so we'll see what happens. I'm hoping that this is all blown out of proportion and it is not true. Before I get into it, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We're over 150,000 subs. That's crazy. Thank you so much for the support. So this is coming from Niche Gamer. And I guess what happened was Capcom had a ransomware attack. Up to 350,000 people could have been affected by this ransomware leak. Now, that is a huge story in and of itself, but the bigger story for a lot of people was that apparently some internal documents were leaked that shows the direction Capcom wants to take going forward. So here we go. Capcom leaks Resident Evil Battle Royale, Monster Hunter Rise for PC, politically correct strategies, and more, coming from Niche Gamer. Now, they do have a disclaimer. Due to the nature of the story, we will not be providing links to the hacked data. Well, good. Some information on the contents of the archives have come via third parties, including Resetera. Some files have been translated by third parties and as such may not be accurate. The contents of the Capcom ransomware hack has begun leaking online, featuring news on Resident Evil, Monster Hunter, and other games, along with politically correct business strategies. As previously reported, Capcom announced to investors their networks experienced issues that affected access to certain systems, including email and file servers. This was caused by unauthorized access carried out by a third party, but stated there was no customer information taken. Ransomware hacker group Ragnar Locker declared they had performed the hack, locking Capcom out of their own files and making copies for themselves. They demanded $11 million to decrypt a terabyte of stolen corporate data. It would seem that demand was not paid, as the group have begun leaking the information online. So far, 3 archives have been produced, 2 over 20 gig and 1 over 10 gig. The contents of the files include confidential data, NDAs, business letters, banking statements, tax forms, sales reports, employee passport information, and suspension letters. It sounds like an awful lot of trouble to go to if it's not real. Today, Capcom posted an update on the security breach to their investors, confirming they were victims of Ragnar Locker's ransomware attack. Capcom claimed that they have verified 18 pieces of employee personal information was obtained, along with the potential of approximately 14,000 items on human resources information and 350,000 items of customer and business partner personal information. So they talk about the customer support, etc. They talk about leaked games, Resident Evil Village, talking about a new collection of Ace Attorney games, new Monster Hunter. Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. They talk about their business strategies and their deals, right? Among the documentation includes a presentation on political correctness in advertising materials and how to avoid drama and controversy. This includes avoiding the use of language that can be deemed as discriminatory or prejudiced and will result in new guidelines for each region's PR and advertising material creators. Even so, some of the documentation discusses what to do and what to avoid as applied to game designers, although this may be the result of how it was translated into English. Okay, so we don't know exactly what is going on here. This includes gender-neutral cosmetic options, only featuring certain ethnicities or portraying them as unequal or stereotypical, and avoiding sexual or obscene language and jokes unless inevitable based on the context of a story or narrative. Sexuality, LGBTQ, and women were also discussed. One slide features The Last of Us Part 2 and Shadow of the Tomb Raider as being positive examples of LGBTQ characters. What? Last of Us Part 2? Part 2. You sure not talking about the first one? Maybe, possibly? And that as such, characters should be portrayed as appealing as male characters and promoted in the same way. Capcom do note that certain regions view LGBTQ characters negatively. Meanwhile, Nintendo's Princess Peach and Zelda were used as examples of negative stereotypes of women due to being damsels in distress. What the fuck? This is in spite of the image used for Zelda being from Breath of the Wild, where the character takes a more proactive role. Actually, Zelda, even going back to the damn cartoon show back in the 1980s, they've made her a more proactive character. Anyway, the presentation also asked to defer to the localizers of different regions and vendors to make sure certain content is appropriate. Okay, guys, this is kind of what we're talking about with anime and why people have so many concerns about third parties coming in and translating anime, or in the worst case scenario, having an influence over what Japan actually creates. Because a lot of the people working in the anime, the Western anime industry, I would say are politically correct persons. And they're going to whisper in the ear of Japanese studios and tell them that this is what America wants, even if it is not what America actually wants. They're going to tell them something is offensive, even if it's not actually offensive to most people. Basically, they're going to create video games for Twitter. Capcom, this is not going to go well. I really, really, really hope this is a translation error, or I hope that maybe this is all bullshit and this is not actually one of the documents that was leaked, because this is going to be disastrous if they're going to do that. Again, Capcom is one of the few companies left that still respects and caters to old school gamers, for the most part. And this sounds very concerning. This sounds like they're going to go down the path of Naughty Dog and so many others before them. And I don't think it's going to end well for them financially if they do that. I hope it's wrong. So examples given include Arab localization and content featuring pigs, the use of happy holidays over Merry Christmas, and numbers or expressions that may refer to Yahtzees. Numbers and expression. Oh my gosh. So nobody's going to do an OK sign, I guess. Nobody's going to do the OK sign in Capcom games. The presentation recommends characters that appeal to a wide range of people, with male and female player characters being treated the same within a video game. Custom characters should be able to have any haircut or facial hair and various body types. Sex appeal, such as bikini costumes or lewd poses and costumes, should be equal between men and women and serve a purpose in the context of the story. Kind of like superheroes in the 80s and 90s. Everybody wore spandex and they were all hot, and it showed everybody's asses off equally. Now it's problematic. However, costumes cannot appeal to only one kind of user base, such as only one gender. So no more bikini babes slapping each other around. Capcom used their own games as examples of this. While a shirtless costume for Street Fighter's Ryu was fine, Mika's butt-smashing super move was not. Cases where an armor set in Monster Hunter World shows more skin on the female character was also seen as a bad thing. There are some people who think that boob armor is a bad thing, like the boob armor in The Mandalorian. Likewise, while Spider-Man Miles Morales was seen as a positive portrayal of a non-white person, Street Fighter's DJ wearing a Rastafarian hat was not. They're going to, wait, but DJ's from Jamaica. It's very possible and very plausible that he would wear a hat like that. Oh my God. It should be noted that while this documentation indicates a presentation was likely given, it's unknown how Capcom has acted based on it. In the US, certain diversity and political correctness courses for businesses are mandatory under state law or provide incentives such as lower taxes. So it's possible that Capcom did this and they gave the presentation because they had to, but in reality, they're going to be like, fuck it. Whatever, we're just going to make the games we want to make. Similar events may have occurred within Capcom in Japan. Doubtful. As a Western investor discovering no discussion on political correctness would cause them to create outcry. This is the problem. This is the problem here. Oh, they mentioned the Mika figurine in the Street Fighter Swimsuit Special Collection art book. Yeah, so there we go, guys. There we go. I don't know. I am really, really hoping that this is not true, that Capcom is not going to go down this path, because it has been disastrous for companies to go down this path, especially Japanese companies. And we're seeing more and more censorship, and Capcom is very, very tame. They're a very, very tame company, but to see them become Naughty Dog or EA, it's like, what is the purpose of choosing a Japanese game or a game developed by a Japanese developer over an American developer at that point? And that's probably the issue. We don't want gamers to be able to get games from places that don't subscribe to the current woke climate, that still produce, old school style games for gamers with the sensibilities that video gaming has had. And video games have been inclusive for decades. They really have. It's only been the last 4 or 5 years that developers have gone into hyperdrive to bring political correctness and wokeness to gaming, because it is a large platform. In fact, gaming is a larger platform than Hollywood is these days. So of course they want to do what they can do to, be a buzzkill. Absolutely. And to make sure that gamers are not the toxic people that the media has been making them out to be for a while. And you see how this works, right? Demonize gamers, and then you have a solution. Well, gamers are toxic because games are toxic. Well, let's make the games less toxic, and we'll make the gamers less toxic, and we'll all just get along, and it'll be fun. Then eventually we're going to stop creating games where you compete because competition is wrong, or stop creating games where you kill things because killing anything is wrong. Conflict is wrong. It's all going to be puzzle games and Sims from here on out. That's what some people actually want. I literally have run across articles like that where they're like, we shouldn't have any violence in any video games at all. And competition's bad. It's like capitalism. It's like training people to be capitalists. If Capcom wants to be capitalist, they'll just keep doing what they're doing and let the West go fail on their own and not be part of it. Because I think eventually the pendulum is going to swing. Because you can preach morality until the cows come home, right? But at the end of the day, it's all about the money. And whoever makes the money has the power. And you're only going to make money if gamers give it to you. And if gamers withhold money because you're being stupid and changing games for stupid reasons that literally nobody has asked for, you get what you deserve. I don't know what to tell you. I hope it's not true. I do. Now, later tonight, we actually do have an unboxing of a Capcom Arcade 1-Up machine. And, I love playing Capcom games. And I would like to continue to play Capcom games for years to come, possibly decades to come. But yeah, go check this article out on Niche Gamer. 500 comments. 500 comments. Japan caught wind of the leaks. They're livid as fuck and are now listing Capcom as part of Sony. Oh, wow. I'm sorry for Capcom. I've also been NG in the design saying, please don't use the rainbow from the client. To be honest, I feel the world is steadily being downgraded. This is a big deal. Mostly the playing materials were leaked from outsourcing or somewhere. Zelda is more interesting than Last of Us 2. I think that politically correctly is useless at this point when it's selling, right? This game is made with political correctness and failed. It's called BFV. Yeah, exactly. This is what happened. The Last of Us Part 2 failed. Add Capcom to the traitor list. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, you don't want to be on the traitor list. There we go, guys. There we go, guys. So please subscribe to Clownfish TV for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we'll talk to you later.